Death of a Spaceman. You may have heard the term before, or perhaps this is your first time hearing it. Back in 2013, Chris Roberts laid out his vision for Star Citizen. Citing Demon Souls as an influence, he outlined his desire for persistent consequences for dying in the game. In an article written shortly after the Kickstarter had closed, he outlined this. That dying in the game would lead to permanent injuries which could only be removed with heavy expenditure of UEC, and that enough deaths would lead to a final death for your character, forcing you to generate a new one. This character would inherit your ships, money and other assets, but would only inherit a portion of your reputation and standing. This would be paired with a need for insurance, or to take out in-game loans to be able to retrieve your lost property. There is a concept in gaming called a jumping off point. This is a point in time where a player states, "I'm done." It's not something organic and naturally occurring, like the end of a game's story, or when you grow bored of a sandbox. It's normally the result of a jarring moment in gameplay, a bad expansion, or a bug ruining your experience. Your game was over. The cost of failure was to pay for another go. In modern gaming, death's role has changed. This cost is paid with time and investment. A loss in most games will simply set you back. You might have to try from a checkpoint, you might have to pay for repairs, you might have to wait for a respawn timer, but ultimately you are punished with a setback and allowed to try again. Some games buck this trend, most famously roguelikes, where a death ends your run and the intent is for you to start fresh and attempt to succeed all over again. Others, such as the Souls-like games that Chris Roberts himself mentioned, intend for you to fail. They plan for you to bash your head against an obstacle over and over until you succeed. But ultimately, death still feels bad, and for that reason death is one of the biggest jumping off points in games. And this is where I think that Death of a Spaceman will fail. Star Citizen is not Demon Souls. It's an MMO. People expect to spend their time gathering money, items and influence, not repeating gameplay over and over in an attempt to attain success. Death leads to the loss of the possessions you took out into the universe. I think that's a concept we've all internalised. Something we're all fairly comfortable with. You take your favourite gun out, you risk losing it. But the concept of losing other items, that nothing you have is secure, that's out of the comfort zone of many players. And I think that's the tipping point. Imagine this scenario. You've been playing the game for a few hours. You've found a haul of ore, items or credits, and you're on your way home to cash out. Bandits attack you. They kill you, they take your loot. We all know this can happen. We all know this day will come for us. All the progress you just made is gone. But what if it was worse? What if the game then decided that you should also lose, say, 20 hours of previous work? What if it took the reputation away that you spent days accumulating? What if you gained a broken leg that you can't afford to fix? You were robbed and you lost your evening's progress. You died and you have to spend time preparing to go back out into space. And then you're punished a second time. And that is a classic jumping off point. A moment where frustration is most likely to cause a player to say, "I am done." And that is why I think that Death of a Spaceman must die. Because at your lowest point, you need picking up, not putting down.